Well, that happened. Today happened. Baltimore Orioles and Baltimore Ravens lose in disgusting fashion on Sunday. Orioles lose series to Detroit. Ravens can't get the job done against the Las Vegas Raiders. And we're here to kind of mourn the day, I guess, and vent out frustrations. Obviously, the Ravens game is a bit more fresh than the Orioles game. The Orioles started about an hour or so earlier than the Ravens did, but just not a good day for Baltimore. Bad day. It was a sad day. It was a bad day in Baltimore. I mean, literally, there are 85 million different points that we could talk about. So, yeah. And Heather saying, go Caps. Hey, you know what? Since basketball season is almost here, let's turn our attention to the Denver Nuggets, right? All right, it's Nuggets season. Let's go. Everybody, I'm officially converting everyone in this chat to a Denver Nuggets fan. So congratulations and welcome to the fan base. That's where we're focusing our attention from now on. But no, seriously, rough day. Let's figure out where to start. And Laura, Zach should be back soon. Zach, the crew, Zach, Ryan, Brad, all were at the game, and they were a little late getting back. So I was doing Locked On Ravens, and we were all starting a little late. So apologies for that. But let's start off. Let's have everybody decide where we go, because honestly, I could go either way. Do we want to start with Orioles or Ravens? Put in the chat. Do we want to start Orioles or Ravens? So honestly, either one, we will. We're gonna get to both. Don't worry. But where we start, I really have no idea, because both were just. If one won, we could have said, "Oh, cool. Let's talk about the one that won," and then the one that lost, we can kind of save. But then, both teams lose, and it's just kind of a sucky Sunday afternoon. So I see a bunch of Orioles. Well, okay. I honestly expected it to be more even than this. Oh, wow. And Doug, the Whip Snakes lost in the champ. I did not know this. The Whip Snakes lost in the championship. 0 for 3. 0 for 3. And the Bird one. Yeah. All right. Let's go with that. Now we'll start with the Orioles. Let's go there. We'll start since that game ended first. We'll start with the Orioles, then we'll go to the Ravens. 4-2. Orioles lose to Detroit. Admittedly, I wasn't able to watch the full game. I tried to split screen it, but obviously, since I cover the Ravens, I was obviously focused on the Ravens game for the majority. But the Orioles lose 4-2. Same old story here. Baltimore actually out-hit Detroit, but just couldn't get any consistent offense. The Orioles made their quote-unquote rally in the 8th inning behind Adley Rutschman, who, look, hey, shout out to Adley, man. 2 for 3 today. Got on base 3 times with the walk. Had the homer. But, again, it's just like they can't muster timely hitting. I don't have the runners in scoring position numbers in front of me right now. If anybody has those, I'd appreciate. I'll try to look it up myself. I don't have it in front of me. But I know it wasn't great again in SJR. Yep, runners in scoring position again. I don't have that exact number, but I know it was not great. But this is what we're kind of talking about here with this team, where it's just the same story over and over again. Where let's pull up there. All right, here we go. Ready? Orioles schedule. Where are we here? All right. How many games are we up to now? Last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Last 10 games. Now we get a nice even number here. 10 games for the Orioles. The Orioles have scored 1, 3, 4, 7, 12, 15, 19, 21 runs over the last 10 games for the Baltimore Orioles. And Sam, appreciate you. Steve, appreciate you. 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position. So 21 runs for the Orioles over the last 10 games comes out to literally 2.1 runs per game. The 10 games makes it easy for me to do the math. So appreciate us having a 10-game sample size here. But yeah, and Sam, only hit was the Adley homer. I mean, this is what we saw. This team lives and dies by the long ball. They can't get productive outs. They can't move guys over. They can't get a guy in with small ball or sack flies. They're inconsistent doing that. I mean, when's it going to stop? At this point, I don't think it's going to stop. When? How? Who? Who's going to be? I mean, the only positive in this game, well, I guess there were, I'll say 2. One, Cade Bovich gives up 5 innings of 2-run ball, 8 strikeouts. That should be enough to win the game. Obviously, it should. The Orioles were down 3-0 for the majority of this. Well, I guess 2-0. The Tigers tacked on the extra in the 6th. But then the Orioles got it to 3-2. Then Gregory Soto with the earned run. Jacob Webb returned in this one. He gave up a run as well. Keegan Aiken, 3 straight strikeouts. Well, I mean, he had the hit, obviously, but I'm saying his outs were all strikeouts. 3 strikeouts for him. Oh, man, this is just deflating. Zach, that's Zach's word. Zach uses the word deflating all the time when talking about this team. It's like, why even bother? We know what's going to happen. The Orioles have not scored. Actually, let me just make sure I have this stat right. The Orioles have not scored more than 5 runs in a game since September 3rd. That was against the White Sox, where they scored 13-9 to start off that series. Guess what? You should be doing that against the White Sox. That's a team you absolutely should be doing that against. But you want to take out those first 2 games against the White Sox, where they scored 22 runs in those 2 games combined? Well, let's go back even further. 6 runs, 5 runs against the Rockies, 5 runs against the Rockies, right? That's solid. But then 3 runs, 4 runs, 3 runs, 3 runs, 3 runs. Oh, here they got 7 against the Astros, 0 runs, 3 runs. Oh, here's 9 against the Mets, 3 runs, 4 runs, 1 run. Then you start to get into the, they got 10 against the Red Sox in that loss. 5 runs, 4 runs, 3 runs, 1 run. It's just like what we've been saying is for this team, it's all about, well, they put up a good offensive game, then they have 6 straight stinkers. Put up another one, have 8 straight. Put up another one, you get 4 straight. It's just not consistent enough. It's not consistent enough. And you're gonna see my reaction in real time to nope, and the Yankees won. Okay. I didn't know the score of the Yankees game before checking it just now. What a terrible day. What an awful, awful day in Baltimore. I don't know what to say here. The Orioles 3 back of the Yankees again in the AL East. With how many games is this left to go here? We can do some quick counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 games left for the Orioles. 12 games left. The 3 games back. Need to figure it out. Oh, and look, Doug just adding to our pain. Steelers are winning. Appreciate you. Again, it's helpful when people put stuff in the chat for me. So appreciate you, Doug. I've been moving a million miles a minute today. It's been a lot. And I want to say this now before Zach gets on. I have a zinger opening line for Zach when he gets on. It's not necessarily like directed at him. We're also going to address his controversy from last night for those that were there. We're going to get an official statement from him on that. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that. But look, you got 12 games left to go out there. But to me, this series, this season is going to come down to the Yankees series. It is. Feels like that's what it's going to be. The Yankee series comes up in about 10 days now, almost a week actually. Starts up on next Tuesday. So you got a homestead here against San Francisco and another 3-game set against Detroit. Go win 4 of the 6, man. Just go win 4 of the 6. If you do that, you're probably 1 game out, 2 games out back of the Yankees before that series starts, and that determines it right there. I don't have a lot of confidence in them winning the division. I just, that's kind of wasted away. I will eat my words on that one. I wasn't scared of the Yankees, and I said that very publicly. But man, just the Orioles are playing worse. The Orioles are playing worse, and the Yankees are finding way. I mean, they took the series against the Red Sox. Red Sox have given them trouble generally. So, it is what it is with that. But man, just panic meter in Baltimore. Both teams right now is all over the place. Definitely a lot higher up. But yeah, Cade Popish again, 5 innings, 2 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts. I thought overall he did a fine job. Give up 2 runs in a start over 5. You take that 10 times out of 10. Obviously, the bullpen goes 3 innings, gives up 2 runs. In that, I mentioned Jacob Webb returned for the Orioles. The Orioles made a couple of roster moves before the game, DFAing both Cole Irvin and Nick Maton because they brought back, and Joe, I know you're listening, Heston Kjerstad, who was in this lineup for Baltimore and went 0 for 2 as the DH. Eloy came in. They had a lot of pinch hitters today. 0 for 5 were their pinch hitters in this game. 0 for 2 from Eloy, 0 for 2 from Kobe Mayo, and no, excuse me, I read that completely wrong. Livan Soto got a hit. Amending 1 for 7. Wait, Soto wasn't a pinch hitter though. I'm out of it, guys. It was 1. I was right the first time. Why'd I doubt myself? But again, shout out to Orioles legend Livan Soto for doing his thing. So I was right. 0 for 5 for the pinch hitters of Austin Slater, Kobe Mayo, and Eloy Jimenez. But Livan Soto is turning into a legend right now. Man, Kobe is struggling. Hitting his average down to .086 over the course of his major league career. He ended up having, let's see. Yep, so he had a .59 average before going down after the Nationals game on August 14th. Came back up, obviously, for September call-ups. Got a hit in that first game. Rockies, September 1st, and has had 1 hit since. So his average has dipped over the last 2 weeks from a 105 to a .086. Struggling in the worst way. And hey, Mike, Connor Norby time. You'd be good at. Well, hold on. Connor Norby no longer a member of the Orioles. So, Sam, Kobe a bust. I'm not going that far right now. He still has a lot of time to figure it out. I know it's disappointing right now. I hear you, but as far as a bust, he has time. I'm not giving up on Kobe right now. 100%. Yeah, I see SJR Westy running out of time. Please heal faster. They need him, man. They need him so badly, whether it's just to alleviate pressure off of Jackson, put him at third. I mean, they need Kobe there, man. They need Kobe to be able to get his job done because Westy, he should be coming back soon. But you put Westy in that lineup over Kobe, and you automatically get a boost. There. We can look at Jackson's stats too while we're at it. Jackson Holiday. And I'll tell you, it's not as pretty. Well, I guess it's a little prettier, honestly. Jackson over his last 10 games has 2 hits. His average has dipped from September 3rd, 181 to September 15th. He's now batting 170 on the year in 171 at bats. Oh, look at that. 171, 170. Pretty symmetrical there. Just by if he had 170 at bats, he would have been hitting the same as his at bats. So yeah, both those guys are struggling. No doubt about it. They need their vets. I think the Orioles, and I have been this is not me just saying this now. I have said this for the majority of the year. I think they went a little too young with their roster. You know, losing guys like Kyle Gibson, Aaron Hicks, Adam Frazier, while those aren't necessarily superstars, they help. And they can be relied on. And look, the injuries haven't helped. You know, you're down 3 quality infielders in Westberg, Mateo, and Arias. It's like, who do you have? Because you trade away a lot of your infield depth. So at that point, it's just kind of like, well, what else has to happen? Who else do they have? Livan Soto, we were just talking, Zach, whenever he hates, the Orioles will get better, although he did it last night. It didn't help today. But whenever that happens, the Orioles they need something. They need something. And yeah, Ed, I hear you with this comment. I was critical of this. I've been critical of it all season. Honestly, it's not even a Kimbrel conversation, right? Like, I guess it can be in a way. But, I mean, that was it. That was their only offseason acquisition in free agency. And then obviously the Burns trade before the year. They needed to do more, and they didn't. And now this is kind of the, whenever the offseason comes for the Orioles, and we don't know when, but, I mean, you got to make a decision on Tony, decision on Corbin, some of these other guys as well. What's that going to look like? You have to add more this offseason, regardless of when it is. So we played the panic game meter on Locked On Ravens for the Ravens, and we'll do it again for the Ravens coming up here. But let's do it for the Orioles. Scale of 1 to 10. What is your panic meter for the Orioles? 1 is you're not panicked. 10 is you're extremely panicked. Where are you on that meter right now? I'm probably going 8. It's been bad. There's nothing else to say. We've been over this too many times. We've been over the same thing too many times. This is no longer a little slump. It's no longer a thing that, is it really something that's going to no, we've been talking about this for 3.5 months. This is a trend and a glaring one. The offense is too inconsistent. The defense is too inconsistent too. It seems like they're putting themselves in so many bad spots defensively. Not necessarily particularly in this game, but just overall, it's defeating. It's definitely defeating. So, yeah, Baltimore is at a tough spot today. Orioles again lose 4-2 to the Tigers. Otherwise, in that lineup, not much to write home about. Gunnar and Seti both get on with walks, but don't have hits. Tony gets on base. Colton went 4 for 2. Good to see Colton get a couple of hits. I know he's been slumping in a bad way. So, for Adley, for Colton, hopefully these are games that they can provide momentum with. But it seems like this is what we talk about, where multiple guys get going for the Orioles. Just maybe one guy gets going, but then the other guys don't have it. And then those guys get going, then the other guys don't have it. I mean, I'm kind of with Doug on this one. At this point, just get into the playoffs and hopefully get hot. I don't necessarily have a ton of confidence in it, but that's what you got to hope for at this point. I mean, that's the last thing for them to do. That's it. So just tough overall. And Joey, look, some positivity from Joey. At least the Terps won. Look at that. So appreciate you for the positivity. This is Kevin and Zach React to our post-game Orioles and Ravens destination. We're talking about the Orioles, their 4-2 loss to the Tigers. If you are a reactor, which we call our everyday listeners, watchers on this show, appreciate you making some time for us, even after a bad Baltimore sports day. We only got a few more of these left. Orioles, Zach and I gotten into a routine of doing this almost every single day for the Orioles, and we're almost done. We'll still be going live every week for the Ravens, but we're not going to really have a ton of these left after the Orioles season is over, whenever it ends. Obviously, hopefully they get into the playoffs and we can extend, as far as we can here. But once the Orioles season is over, it's going to be, not that we're going to take a full break, but we'll still be doing Ravens stuff and reacting to big news and everything. But we're not going to have every single day going live here. So it's been awesome. And, I want to reflect on that now and enjoy what we do have left in terms of an everyday schedule here on Kevin and Zach React. We started this up and didn't really know where it was going to go. Didn't really know the response and if people would like it or not, if it was something that, wasn't really needed. But it seems like people have really enjoyed it. We've built up an awesome community here in a short amount of time. And I know I speak for Zach when I say this, but, we really appreciate everybody who takes time out of their night, takes time out of their day to come in and react with us, whether it's, happiness, sadness, anger, whatever it is, frustration. That is what it is. And Ed, you're exactly right. You know that we are going to react to the offseason for the Orioles. And we'll kind of shift our content, I'm sure. We'll probably be putting out just more videos instead of lives. And just putting out like our reactions to certain things. But of course, when there are big reactions, we will be going live. Biohack asking, how are you guys feeling about the Orioles about O'Hearn's $7.5 million option right now? Seemed clear cut a few months ago. Now I'm not as sure. I still think you have to pick it up. I still think it's a bargain for him. I know he's struggling in the worst way. It has not been good. But even if you pick it up and trade him, I just think his value with that is still, I think it's still worth it for them to do it. Now, what is his role? That's a different conversation, Biohack. I think that's something we'll have to definitely dive into, but I personally wouldn't let him walk for nothing. I think you at least try to trade him. And Joe saying it's a sign and trade could be something along those lines, whatever it is. But I think the option value itself is too valuable to not pick up. Laura, can we do Capitals and Wizards react? Well, I'm a Nuggets fan, so I don't watch every Wizards game. So I'm watching the Nuggets, and I'm a Ducks fan for hockey. Although, admittedly, the Ducks have been good for a while, so I'm kind of tapping out from that. But we'll try to dabble into other certain content as well, especially once the Orioles season ends. But yeah, for me, O'Hearn wise, I'm definitely picking up that option. So we've done about 20-ish, 25-ish minutes of Orioles stuff, and now we're about 23 minutes into the stream. And Pigtown, appreciate you for checking in, man. I hope you found a way too. It was a rough one for Baltimore. I've been talking about it, man. But at least the Terps won, I guess. We got some positivity with that. But one of the worst Baltimore sports days in a while. I know when the Orioles, what was it? It was the Texas playoff series, and then they lost to Pittsburgh with the 7 drops last year. I can't remember what game of the playoffs that was for the Orioles. It might have been game 2, or maybe game 3. I can't remember. That was also a pretty bad day. Yeah, so I think it's all right. Let's get into Ravens. I hear people clamoring for the Ravens right now. Let's shift away from Orioles. We'll probably get back into a little bit when Zach pops on, which is wow, just absolute timing right here. I said we'll probably talk about a little more when that gets on, but this is perfect. This is perfect because actually, 2 things I want to say to you off the bat. So this is our little mini break before getting into Ravens and your thoughts on the Orioles. First of all, I heard that you had a rough morning and threw up before the stream.
Yeah, and then I went to throw up for all 4 quarters of the Baltimore Ravens.
Hey, I wouldn't be shocked if you did it again after what you saw in Baltimore today. So not great, but I do want, I want to give you, I'm looking out for you, right? There are some things that sometimes happen, and I know that for last night you were having a fun time,
Yeah.
And a certain phrase slipped out of your mouth, and it caused a lot of controversy. So I want to give you the opportunity to speak on it yourself, because I know that Volley in the bedroom has caught on. I've seen it multiple times. God. So do you want to release a statement on?
I was sitting in a bedroom.
Volley in the bedroom.
I was sitting in a bedroom. What was I supposed to do? It went together, Kevin. Volley in the bed, and it didn't get it clicked immediately, unfortunately. But before I said it, it didn't. But I said it, and I was like, shit. I was like, God damn.
That was honestly one of my favorite moments ever doing this.
Couldn't.
It's just you saying it and then me being like, wait. And then you being like, oh, no.
And then the comments immediately, it was Kevin.
We've gotten a couple. Today. So
I'm sure we have.
Yeah. So okay. I'm glad you had the opportunity to release your statement on.
Thank you for giving me that opportunity.
You're welcome. But we just finished up the Orioles talk. Before we get into the Ravens, do you want to kind of give your thoughts on that game?
Just another, Kevin. It's just frustrating. Adley. Shout out to Adley. He's starting to put together. Cade Povich, decent game. I didn't watch, I'm going to be real, any of this game. I was following online. It's just another tough series, dude. Just another series that makes you want to sit there and you're like, this is just atrocious to sit through. You feel bad about the team. As soon as they go down 2-0, you're like, well, that's game. It is just a tough spot for them to be in. Last night or 2 nights ago, I should say, we even got into the we started talking, 2025. What does this team do in the offseason? And that's not where we want to be talking on September 15th.
Nope. We're Orioles 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position. Same old story there. We talked about Povich. We talked about just the defeat that we all feel here. It kind of just feels defeated. Like we sit up here, we say the same stuff every show.
Yeah,
the Yankees win, so they're back to 3 games out with 12 games left.
It's their division. I mean, the Orioles have the opportunity in that 3-game series, but it's
I mean, they've had it all season. Nobody this Orioles team could easily, if they played even just a little bit more competent baseball, they could be up 10 games on the Yankees right now in the East. They just played a little bit more competently. Something along those lines. 7, 8, 10, whatever you want to say. They could be up. And this is what I say, man. I mean, in football, my saying is September losses don't matter in September. They matter in December. For baseball, it's April losses don't matter in April, but they matter in September when you're going for a run, going for a seed, going for a division. And it's kind of tough. So I know we talked a lot about the Orioles, but let's transition into the Ravens and talk about September losses. The Ravens, 26-23 to the Raiders, just inexcusable in all facets. The Ravens start 0-2 for the first time since 2015. There are so many words, yet I somehow can't find any about just how poor of a loss this was. Obviously, Zach, the 2 big storylines, the offensive line and John Harbaugh. Where do you want to start?
Does it even matter, Kevin? This, we talked about last week coming after that Chiefs loss. You feel good about where the Ravens are. You felt good even after a loss. You're like, whatever. You're going to lose to the Chiefs. Like, they're just a damn good team. Whatever. This is unacceptable. This is just unacceptable. Straight up unacceptable. That's like the biggest word. That is the word of the day. Unacceptable. Everything about it. Offensive line looked horrible. Lamar Jackson just steps back there. His first challenge of every play is to navigate the offensive line. And then afterwards, I mean, just 2 bad challenges by Harbaugh. Kevin, I'll just say it. I was on the thought process for a long time of Harbaugh. Yes, he's not the best, but he's a top 5 coach. You still gotta, give it to him. All this, it is harder and harder for me to look at this team and say John Harbaugh is the man for the job, because with every opportunity, it's just horrible.
Yeah, I mean, I'll read out some stats quickly here. One of the things CBS broadcast pointed out was the Ravens in the last 5 seasons have 10 losses with a 7+ point lead in the fourth quarter. That's the most in the NFL over that span. We know that John Harbaugh's game management has been called into question over the last handful of years. This, to me, was one of the more egregious ones. Not necessarily because of a big moment late in the game, although certainly we can talk about that. But wouldn't it have been really nice, Zach, if you get 3 timeouts as a team each half? Wouldn't it be nice if the Ravens had all 3 of those, as the Raiders were icing the game away and running? For all that the Ravens did to stop the run in this game, the Raiders as a whole averaged 1.6 yards per carry. The Raiders walked the Ravens down on that final drive to get that go-ahead field goal. But you know what the biggest underlying issue is? Was the Ravens had 27 seconds after that field goal by Carlson to go and try to tie/win the game. Well, they could have had 1:07 if they had an extra timeout to use. But John Harbaugh used his first challenge on a very clear, I mean, you saw it, I saw it, everybody saw it, play where the ball bounced up off the turf into Zay Flowers' arms. And, Zay is screaming, go challenge, come on, I caught it, challenge. You can't get caught up in that if you're John Harbaugh. I don't know what's going on, but Zach, I expect you in that booth next week taking over that replay official's job in the booth for the Ravens. I don't know what John Harbaugh's being told. I don't know what, possesses him to throw the flag there. And then the second one is a play where Devontae Adams clearly has catch 2 feet possession on a diving catch to the sideline. And with the new rules, Harbaugh had even more opportunities to do it, because you don't lose the opportunity to get a third challenge after 1 anymore. You lose it after 2. So Harbaugh had 2 opportunities. He lost them both. You lose 2 timeouts in that situation, obviously one in the first half, one in the second half. But that second play with Devontae Adams, which was clearly, I mean, it's Harbaugh essentially just like throwing up a prayer and being like, oh, well, we might as well use the timeout or whatever. I don't know what his thought process is. I don't think he commented on it after the game. Maybe I missed it. But you have the third timeout in that situation, and a lot might look different now that we're talking here.
Same story. New year, same story. I mean, it's the sad truth about it. It's the new year, and it's the same story. Every single time. Ravens have a big lead in the fourth. Ravens can't hold it. Every single time. I'm also officially, I'm going to just put it, I am officially worried about Justin Tucker. Over 50 yards. I have no faith. None. He walked out for that field goal, and I was like, well, that's a mess. Like, I would have punted.
You would have punted? Wow.
I would have, pin him. Because you're just, when you send Justin Tucker out there for a 55-yarder right now, all it is giving the other team field position. I don't know what it is. I think it's mental. I think it's completely mental. I don't know what it is. But when Justin Tucker, when we're talking about can you trust Justin Tucker, that's how you know this team's just shit. That's how you know this team is just what a collapse, because that's sky could be falling. Justin Tucker's now can throw a 50-yard field goal. That's given. Now it's no longer that guarantee, and it's one of his last 7. Just that's tough.
Yeah, and I said it on Locked On Ravens, and that was probably one of the more passionate episodes I've ever had doing that show in 5+ years. I was like, whoa, let's go do this on there. But I had said on Locked On Ravens, we're definitely spoiled with Justin Tucker. We've been spoiled over the course of Justin Tucker's career with his the combination of power, accuracy, hitting, him trotting out there for 50+ yarders, and I'm not sweating, right? Over the course of his career, it's just all right, that's automatic. Automat Tuck is literally his name. But, we might be seeing the beginnings of a small decline for Justin Tucker.
It's not small, Kevin.
Well, I'm just saying, he's someone that I would still take over anybody. Maybe Aubrey and Dallas is changing that conversation a little bit. But I mean, this is a guy that it's just different. It's a different what?
Burrow just fumbled it, and the Chiefs took it back for a touchdown to go ahead. Holy shit.
Whoa. Really? So wait, what's the score now?
They just missed the 2-point conversion, so it's 23-22. 23-22 Chiefs. Sorry. You were gone?
How much time is left?
It's game just started. It's 14 minutes left in the fourth.
Do you see this Cam Taylor-Britt interception?
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's insane. I have Mahomes and Burrow in all my fantasy leagues, and they're just turning the ball over consistently.
Have Jamar Chase, use him. That'd be cool.
Oh man. Yeah, but it's just it's disappointing. It's disappointing all around. All around. The offensive line, the Ravens historically mismanaged that this offseason. I mean, I've said that on Locked On Ravens. I've said it here. I've said it everywhere. You lose 3 vets, you replace them with no vets. Go young. You're playing guys out of position. You're experimenting. It's a contending team. You don't have time to do that, especially when it costs you games like this.
Yeah.
And Daniel Falele gives up multiple sacks in the biggest moments of the game. He shuffles his feet on that on that Max Crosby sack. I guess maybe McCary could beat Falele and get the sack on Lamar with the way Falele is playing right now, but he shuffles his feet on Crosby, can't get to a spot in time. He's pulling, can't get to his spots in time. He's too slow. He can't play the way the Ravens need and want to play.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be Ben Cleveland's job. And I mean, what message, Zach, does it send to your rookie who comes in and stonewalls Max Crosby on a couple of early possessions for McCary, who struggled against him early? And he does that well. And then all of a sudden, you hear, all right, back to the bench. You're done. We'll see you in a couple drives. It's a bad message. Give the job to a guy. Take the rotation away. You can't win a Super Bowl that way. Take the rotation away. Give the job to Rosengarten. Put Cleveland in there. I just worry they won't. I just worry we won't see anything until week 4. After week 4, first month of the season. Harbaugh said that, he's going to continue to look at the tape, put the best guys out there. Well, guess what? He's not doing that because he's putting the rotation in, which means one guy is worse than the other and you're playing both. So he's not putting the best players in. That's objectively false. He can say it all he wants, but his literal philosophy on the offensive line, he is completely contradicting them.
Yeah, that's where I'm at, Kevin. I just don't know. I'm officially in the I just don't know. I don't know what this team is going to go as far as the offensive line, and I don't think it's going to go very far with that. And I know people will talk about midseason trades, like the big one. Obviously, I don't think it happens, but I even joke about like Devontae Adams. Devontae, like what would a Devontae Adams look like in this offense? He would look incredible. He would look unreal running routes as Lamar Jackson scrambles for his life behind 3 just monster humans chasing after him. Like that's the world we live in. It doesn't matter if guys get open. It doesn't matter if we set this play up well. Give Derrick Henry the rock. The Orioles, the Ravens were up by 10 points with Derrick Henry in the fourth quarter, and they couldn't put the game away. Kevin, so here's what's going to happen. The Ravens will have one of 2 responses. This season's either over in the fact of this team just doesn't have it. This team is not good. This team, they messed up the O-line. Harbaugh's going to be gone. It's just a simple, okay, throw in the towel. That's it. Game over, Or this team faces the Cowboys, the Bills, and the Bengals over the next 3 weeks. There's a very real possibility they go 0-5. Do I think it happens? No. But that possibility is there. That's 3 very hard teams to play. What the Ravens have to decide is, are they going to roll over and this is it? Or are they going to pick themselves up, not feel bad for themselves because no one in the NFL does. You just lost to the Raiders. And they have to decide if they want to go actually win this thing. Because we see comments from guys like Travis Kelce, from Jason Kelce, from all of these players saying, hey, once the Ravens get it together, that's a damn good team. Unfortunately, it's as good as this offensive line is going to be. I agree. You got to get Ben Clean. Hell, put somebody in. But the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And you got to stop doing that with Daniel Falele.
If they make no changes, that is the definition of insanity. Mm-hmm. And they're relying on NFC Lamar Jackson to come save them next week. 20-1 against the NFC. They're going to Dallas. We talk about the Ravens. They're going to be all mad and pissed off. Well, guess what? Dallas just got annihilated by New Orleans. You think they're not going to be mad and pissed off coming into that game? I mean,
in Dallas.
I think that what's going to determine that, because to be completely honest, I am not impressed with Tom Lunkin through 2 games. And we can talk about Harbaugh, and deservedly so, but I'm very disappointed in. I just thought we'd see more improvement. And what I said on Locked On Ravens was we've seen it's like the same thing we saw to start last year. It's either they start really fast and they fall off, or they start really slow and they find something late. And we've seen both. Last week they started fast, 7-0. Then they kind of fell off over the course of the rest of that game outside of that 2-minute drive. And then this week, couldn't really get a ton going on offense. They kind of find it a little bit in the second half with Derrick Henry in that run game. And then right at the end, it all goes south for them. I expected more. I expected more from Rashad Bateman. That ball hits him in the hands, and it's an interception, and that changes some of the outcome of the game. The refs were atrocious, but I'm not going to sit here and play that game and say the reason the Ravens lost was the refs. I'm not playing that game. Did they have an impact? Sure. But we have to look this team in the face. They have to look themselves in the mirror and say that they weren't good enough. And that's what Ronnie Stanley echoed. It's what Mark Andrews echoed. It's what Lamar Jackson echoed. All of them know they need to be better. But it's a combination. Players, coaches, executives, everybody. And it's disappointing because we've seen this too many times. The Ravens playing down to competition. I mentioned it everywhere I could this week. Is I would be floored if they lost, hence why I am floored. But the reason that I could have seen it happen was because we saw this. I mean, we saw them lose to a Gardner Minshew-led Colts team last year with mistakes. We saw them lose to Pittsburgh with mistakes. It's just it's the same stuff, and it's deflating. That's the word, deflating.
Hey, Kevin. Remember when we had fun covering Baltimore sports? It's not been fun the past.
What a time. We talk about all our expectations and do free agency and trade streams and draft streams and all good stuff. And then the season comes and teams with expectations, and those expectations aren't met. It hurts two times. It hurts double. It hurts double. And the Ravens right now are doing things that a team with no expectations should be doing, not a team with expectations should be doing.
Yeah, talk about it. I mean, this team expectations. Kevin, we both think the Ravens could win the Super Bowl. I still think the Ravens can win the Super Bowl. But you know what will not win the Super Bowl? What we've been talking about. Just ignoring the fact that this O-line is an issue. And you know what sucks is, you know who saw the O-line being an issue from a mile away? Everyone in April. How are we going to get 3 rookies, 3 young guys to start who have never – 3 new guys, 60% of the offense new, or the offensive line new? Doesn't – we were optimistic, Kevin. We said, yes, they have the potential. They could be good. They could put it together, but they haven't. Is this the end-all, be-all? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. This offensive line can still put it together. They're young, talented guys. This offensive line has talent. It's untapped talent. It's talent that you're not going to see in every play. But they've got there. I'm not worried. Like you said, Rosengarten, completely fine with. In his reps, he did well, I think. Voorhees could have done better. I'm not necessarily – has anyone really been saying much about Voorhees? Has there been what are your –
There were a couple plays where he struggled, but I think he's been fine for the most part.
Yeah, he's struggling. He's working. It's Falalele that – I mean, we said from the beginning, why is he playing guard?
Yeah, McCary's also had some struggles.
Yeah.
It's the big one is Falalele, yes.
Yeah, I mean, massive.
It's tough. I mean, especially because, like I mentioned, the defense holds the Raiders to 1.6 yards per rush. That was one of the keys to the game. We all talked about it. Just make the Raiders one-dimensional. Make that a thing. Lamar was fine in this game. I know had a couple of tough misses, but the interception, again, bounced off of Bateman's hands. They thought they had something, or at least I thought they had found it, because all the question marks were, well, what are they going to do with Derrick Henry? Why are they using him the way they are? See him getting taken out in situations. And he actually, I thought they had found it. I thought they're like, all right, this is what we're going to do. And then they abandoned it late. Penalties all around. Some were egregious, some were not. But now you're right. They're staring a potentially disastrous start in the face. And it's so different if they have the timeout. If there was one particular sequence, it's the 2 challenges. That's what it is. It's the 2 challenges.
Kevin, you know what I'm tired of? I'm tired of sitting here post-game questioning why the Ravens coaching staff did something.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where we're at with this team. We want to talk about draining. This game was draining. It felt like that fourth quarter lasted 10 years. The Ravens had multiple opportunities to step on their throats, and they couldn't. Just simple as that. With Derrick Henry and a 10-point lead in the fourth, the Ravens couldn't get it done.
They were up 10 with 9 minutes to go? Let me pull up the graphic. Yeah, 9:21 to go in the fourth quarter. 23-13. You can't. Again, it'd be one thing if this was the first time this has happened, but it's not. It's not.
No.
And that's the difficult part of it all. So
it's a really difficult part of it.
Yeah. So back on the saddle. The Orioles get the Giants tomorrow at home. The Ravens will be preparing for Dallas in week 3. I had Alvin Kamara and Justin Jefferson in some of my leagues, and I'm still managing to lose games. So that's fun. Apparently the Whip Snakes lost championship today. So
no!
0 for 3.
That's a tough one. I did not know that.
Yep. Just a tough scene.
You know what's crazy? Before we get out of here.
Sorry, the Orioles are off tomorrow. I don't know why I said they had a game tomorrow.
Yeah. Real fast here. Before we do this. Can we talk about the fact that, like, if the Orioles win this, once again, if the Ravens win this game, do you know what one of the big headlines is hell of a effing game from Odafe Owe.
Van Noy too.
Travis Jones, dominant. The line, incredible. Defensive line played their ass off. Got pressure, stopped the run game. They were phenomenal. Couldn't get done.
All of them. Van Noy with a fractured orbital socket gets 2 sacks. Owe with I think 2.5 was the final line for him.
He got 2.5.
So, man, just dominant defensive front performance. For as much as the Ravens' offensive line struggled, the Raiders' offensive line is awful. Awful. Like, their offensive line is worse than the Ravens' offensive line. And that's saying something.
Yeah.
But they did what they were supposed to do. The Ravens' defensive line whooped up on a bad offensive line, held the Raiders 1.6 yards per carry. And the Raiders' offensive line, I guess, did what they were supposed to do. They didn't get consistent pressure on Lamar, but they came up with sacks, tackles for losses in the biggest moments. Some of that due to play calling, some of that due to poor play. And that's why it's all so frustrating.
It's extremely frustrating. That's why it's extremely frustrating.
Yeah. It's terrible. Well, we are... It's so funny. Jamar Chase is like... Jamar Chase is throwing tantrums in Kansas City right now. I saw a funny meme. But, so I guess we're off tomorrow for Kevin and Zach React. We'll have the Ryan Ripken show. Is that 3 p.m., I assume?
Yep.
3 p.m. So it'll be a big recap show, obviously. We'll try to talk through ways this team could bounce back. And hopefully a lot better vibes tomorrow. So.
We hope.
One can hope.
One can hope. Anything left, I feel like we're just drained.
Yeah, I think we're probably done here for Kevin and Zach React. Everybody enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Try to find some positives. I know I'm certainly going to try. I don't know what's going to – I still got a lot of Ravens stuff I got to do. But, hopefully we will get back on the vibes train tomorrow. Be sure to tune into the Ryan Ripken Show. Be sure to like and subscribe here on Kevin and Zach React. We go live after every single Orioles and Ravens game. I did got in my feels a little bit, Zach, because we don't have a lot of these left for the Orioles. We've been on a consistent schedule for the Orioles, doing this almost every day. And we'll definitely still be putting out plenty of content, but it's going to be a little shift once the Orioles season ends, whenever it does, because, Ravens don't play every day like the Orioles do. So it'll be a little different.
It'll be weird. We're going to have to react to stuff.
I know. I was saying maybe more so like we'll hop on and put out actual videos instead of lives. And do more of that for stuff we could do, you and I.
Yeah. So we'll figure out what we're going to do for that. But we appreciate everyone. Appreciate it.
Yeah, 100%. So again, if you're a reactor, which is what we call our everyday listeners and watchers, really appreciate you reacting in here with us through the sorrows, the failures, the excitement, the happiness, whatever emotion we go through it with you here. It's what we're here for. So we'll be off tomorrow on Kevin and Zach React. We'll be on the Ryan Ripken show, and then we will be back on Tuesday breaking down the Orioles and Giants game 1. So again, enjoy the rest of your Sundays. I'll put you, Zach, on the left side. I'll give you your spot back to round it out.
Oh, yeah, baby. Back on the left where it matters. But, yeah, back at it tomorrow for the Ryan Ripken show and back at it Tuesday for Kevin and Zach React. Just win. Just win. Anything else, Kevin?
Nope, that's all I got. Just win.
Just win.